Alright, Juanitosville, are you sick and tired of finally mustering up enough confidence and bravery to approach your crush, only to realize that you have a bean shell on your tooth and she doesn't like El Caminos? Oh, I hate when that happens, friends, but here we are thirsty and we reject no one. We have 2 spoons here I got from my buddy Chuck, silver broker down the street. He sends this stuff off to get processed, and sometimes I buy big bags of this stuff from him and turn it into really awesome jewelry. I recently made a video making a spoon bracelet, and the footage erased and did not mix down, and I deleted all the footage. So we're gonna do it again, and hopefully this time will be better, and the mistakes that I learned on that one I won't make on this one. And well, you know how it is. We'll make new mistakes. That's how we do it around here in the wild side, friends. So if you guys like hanging out on the dirty side of the track, you guys are in the right place, friends. Jewelry enthusiasts, adventurers, punk rockers, rock and rollers, heavy metalists, race car lovers, muscle car lovers, skateboarders, soccer moms, everyone. Guys, we accept everyone over here, friends. So let's just get started on this. I'm going to try to make this whole bracelet using just these 2 spoons. 2 spoons, 1 awesome bracelet. And let's just cut these bad boys off right here at the spoon. Now this is how I do it. I used to saw these off, but I was like, yo, man, I need to get some bolt cutters, because I saw somebody doing it with bolt cutters, and it just made life a lot easier. These are going to be the handles to the bracelet. And this, we're going to have the back plate. Flatten these down a little bit and put them in my Vivor rolling mill. A $200 rolling mill, very cheap. I'm saving up for the Durston. I'm not quite there yet. And if I can feed this through my rolling mill, I will, and I can. So I'm going to feed this through my rolling mill, get it nice and flat, and I'll bring you guys right back. Okay, good friends, we have rolled this out. I did probably about 6 or 7 passes on this. I flattened it, and as you can see, it's not perfect, but we're gonna still be able to make it work. We will anneal it just so that we have a little bit of bendability to it to get it nice and flat. The next step right here, guys, is we're gonna take these and we're gonna flatten them out. And then I think about the length. Now I know about a typical lady wrist is somewhere around in the neighborhood of 5 1/4 to 5 1/2 or 5 3/4. These are going to have some bends in them, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to bend it. So before I cut anything, I'm going to anneal the very ends of these. Let's anneal them, and then we're going to start bending these so that we can get some shape to them. And now, guys, I anneal these because through this process of creating this texture, however they do it, it work hardens. Like, this is pretty work hardened. So let's anneal, and then we'll get to bending. Inspiring Metalsmith Jewelers, Inspiring Metalsmiths Jewelry. I get tips, and it's a great group for tips and feedback and ideas. And so part of my struggles with fire scale is overheating, and that's the issue with fire scale, or fire stain. Also, I've learned that it's called. But one of my guys on my group said, put some Sharpie when you anneal, and that way you know that you're not getting it too hot. And when that Sharpie disappears, then you'll know that your annihilation is complete. And give it a little bit. I'm going to fast forward through this so you guys can just see it without me talking too much. Alright, guys, my instincts tell me that's about enough. The Sharpie didn't completely disappear, but I think it's a good tip. All right, guys, I just annealed the second one. So I think in the future, I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna do this again, because I think that when having the Sharpie, and when you know that it gets to about looking like that, you know that it's annealed, and we'll know whenever I start bending on it and seeing that if it's annealed properly. But yeah, cool tip. Thank you, Inspiring Metalsmith Jewelry. If you guys aren't a member of the group, it's a great group. We have great feedback. We have a lot of experts. I am admin on that group. It's one of the largest jewelry groups in the world on Facebook. And I don't know why they asked me to be admin, probably mostly for my charms. But I know I act like I don't know what I'm doing, but a lot of times I do know what I'm doing, and I just pretend like I don't, I think, because I have low self-esteem. Okay, guys, let's get back to work. Let's give this one more just a little flatness. I'm kind of a wild stallion out here in these mean streets, friends, so this is kind of the way that I roll, but you guys might want to give this a try. I don't know if you guys can see this, but typically what I'll do is I'll go like this. I don't know if you guys can see it, and then I'll just hammer down. Let me just show you what I do. I like to do it on my lap, guys. I'm one of these lap guys. Been pretty easy. So it is a nilled prop. You can do this if you hold it just right. You can get a nice bend over, and it's not really that hard, guys. So that's really what I'm looking at right here. So I'm gonna do the other one. I'm gonna bend it the opposite way. Now this is just the first stage in the bending process, and they're a little wonky. And this is the vision. Something like that. Now, this will be offset this way. So what I do at this point, and I probably won't do it yet, but I'll put another bend in this way, and I'll show you guys how I do that. Well, let me just do a little bit right now, since I have your attention. I put it like this, and then I hit the part that goes up. This is the technique that I discovered. And let's just bring you guys right back here so you guys can see the action that I'm creating here. Now, instead of these being up like this so much, they're a little bit more on the same plane. I'll continue to manipulate these, but it's really that easy, guys. And if it gets a little hard, just anneal again and just do it again. So right now I'm gonna try to I'm gonna search my stones, and I was thinking about doing a moonstone. I'll be right back. I'm gonna locate a stone. All right, friends, just a little bit more with the mandrel, and just kind of just hitting it a little bit like this and a little bit right here, and just really trying to get and just keep mocking it up according to your stone and the way that you want the orientation of your stone to be. It's really up to you and your preference, but it's really just kind of forming. So if you have to anneal a couple times, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and do that, because you want to really put yourself in the best position to be successful. And if you see right there, guys, I kind of have a decent side to side. It's not up like it was. I have a nice side to side. That the stone is kind of at this cool angle, and I think artistically that could be really, really cool. I have a little bit of fine tuning. I'd like for this to touch this, and this is touching that. So a little bit more maybe on this one, just kind of bring that one in just a little bit. I'm just going to fine tune this, and then I'll bring you guys back, and we'll start kind of looking at this and figuring out how we're going to do the back plate. A lot of fun though, and like I said, the art is already there. Okay, party animals, we are at this place, guys. I got this kind of figured out a little bit. I realized that I'm not really going to get a good fit on this until I have a bezel around the stone, because the bezel does have a thickness to it, and then I will shape these according to the thickness of the bezel. But I'm in the ballpark. So what I did is I have this piece of 9/9 pure silver, and I got my bolt cutters, the bolt cutters that I use to disassemble these. I put a big bite right through them, but it's kind of like, I don't know, you know how like whenever you buy fingernail clippers at the dollar store and they don't clip your nail all the way through, and then you have to pull the nail off. Oh, poor kid problems. Let's see, what am I gonna do here, friends? Let's go with some old pliers. I got a nice gouge right in there, and I think I should be able to just go like this. Okay. Fine silver, guys, as you know, fine silver is typically used for bezels because it is malleable. I'm just going to run this through my rolling mill and see how long we can get it, and slowly, and I'll bring you guys back, and just remember what this looks like and what it's about to look like. Okay, you scallywags, look what I rolled that into, guys. This is probably, I don't know what a scallywag is, by the way. I don't hope that's not insulting. I'm guessing this right here is about 26 gauge. This is a good piece of fine silver that we can now use for several bales, guys. I'm just going to cut off this part right here, just get a flat end. Flat cut end here. I have a fun fact that many people don't realize about fine silver because our work with bezels, bezel wire, and sometimes our problems with melting it. This fine silver actually has a higher melting point than sterling silver. I have looked it up, and these are the facts, friends. So I'm just going to kind of give it the old no math little test here, so I know about how much. And I got that just about right. So we're going to go right here, pulling it on my file so I have a nice flat bottom. At this point, I like to take my dividers about the height of the bezel that I want for it to be on my stone. So I just look sideways on my stone like this, and I adjust this to the height that I'm looking for. And I just want for this to start to cover the slope. And I want for it to be a little longer than shorter. I could always, more material than not enough, as I always like to say. With this flat bottom that I filed, I'm going to just give it a score mark. Metal snippers, and I go a little high because more material than not enough. It's like you go to the barber and you're like, oh, can you add a little bit on the sides? Said probably only somebody not very smart. Okay, so we're just gonna put this with our fine silver. If you guys know anything about my bezels, I like to always put the seam on a flat part if possible. People sometimes ask, how do you know how long of bezel wire to put on your stone? Is there calculations? Some stones are oval, some stones are round, square. It's always different. But for me, I just start on a flat end, and then I'll just roll it around just like this. Boom. Get my handy dandy Sharpie. I always want to err on the side of more material than not enough. And then as the best I can, straight up and down, perpendicular to, is that a big word? Is I just give it a snip. More material than not enough. I always give myself at least a millimeter on both sides, at least. That way I still have, because see how that's kind of goes like this? Because my cut wasn't straight. I can rectify that, file it flat, and then I'll have a nice fit. So right here, friends, I'm just filing as flat as possible and just being very mindful that I don't rock my file at all if possible. Because when you rock your file, you create a dome in your filing. There'll be a high point and a low point, and then that'll annoy you when you're trying to do your bezel just right. So just to let you guys see what I'm doing right there, bam. It's not perfect because my cut isn't perfect, but you don't have to be perfect. As long as I have more material than not enough, I can always file that down and make them both the same. Now, ideally, if they were the same, that'd be nice. But, you know, out here in the Wild West, sometimes we just fly by the seat of our panties. All right, hombres, this is where we are. I put the solder on the outside because I like to be able to have access to it so I can clean it right here. Remember, it was a little high on one end. Now I'm just taking it over to my file. This is the way I do it. This a lot. My pull the silver just like this, which I don't mind. I got this big, this is called a bastard file. I know it's not a bad word. I got this at Home Depot. If you go to Home Depot, go in the file section, you'll find one of these bad boys. Very good file, and I think it was about 20 bucks. So that's kind of what it's looking like. See how now it's flat right there. It's flat on both sides, and I still have plenty of height on that stone. Look at in there, you can see the height that I still have. I saw plenty of height, more height than I really want. So I'm just going to kind of just get this nice and flat. That's the kind of fit you want. It goes all the way through. And I'm just going to keep working on this, and I'll bring you guys back. I will bevel the crown, the rim of this, the top rim of it. I'll bevel it. It makes for setting really nice, and you don't have a square on your setting. You guys probably understand what I'm saying. You don't want that to be all square right there. If you can be beveled in, this is thin, but if you have thicker metal, you definitely want to bevel in the top of your bezel setting so that it really hugs the stone. For one, it's thin enough to really hug the stone nicely, but also it's not all clunky, if that makes sense. Really difficult, guys. I did have to anneal it a couple times, and if I try to get it like that, that's what it's going to look like. But I realized that I could probably just overlap these and then trace. I'm trying to use the smart side of my brain. Trace this right here-ish. Is that using the smart side of my brain, friends? Except for that line's so fat, I'm not sure where to cut. Yeah, we're getting close, friends. Let's just cut these little things off and see if we can get it to fit. All right, friends, I did cut that, and it looks pretty good, guys. I have a pretty nice fit. On this side, it looks really good. On this side, I think I could probably take just a little bit off of this point right here just to get that nice and flush. So we're going to take the spoon that we did, and it is annealed, and we're going to go ahead and put this on. Yeah, I'm going to trace this, but I'm going to make it a little big so I don't have to be perfect, because, you know, it's going to shift a little bit. But this is, I don't want to do the whole thing on the spoon because it'll make a heat sink. Close. Boom, boom. And then once I cut that, then I'll look underneath, and then I'll make a nice circle. So it just looks uniform. So let's cut this out, and then we'll get ready to set our bezel. Okay, friends, I use a number 3 blade, a pretty thick blade when I'm doing stuff like this. And if you guys look at the gauge of this, I'm not for sure certain, but I'm guessing it's at least 24 gauge. This might be 22 gauge. I use a number 3 blade when I'm trying to get material cut and on thicker metal, and I use a number 3/0 blade when I'm doing smaller, like, detail sawing. Okay, compadres, I'm not going to leave you passed out in the back seat. We are here. I sprayed flux on there, Chad Parker style. By the way, go to Chad Parker's jewelry page on YouTube. He does great tutorials. He puts out a lot of tutorials, and they're all really good. He knows what he's doing. Okay, we're going to go medium solder on this bezel. Real quick, guys, before I do this, to make my life easier down the road, remember I was telling you guys about beveling the crown of the bezel like this. See how it has that? You can see where I beveled in. Now I can put this where I want it. As I mentioned, medium solder. As you know, I like to put one big piece of solder at right at the foot of the join. Cook this flux off real quick. Okay, we got the flux cooked so it won't bubble. Okay, we're ready to go to town, friends. We're ready to go to town. You guys ready to go to town? Load up the station wagon, friends. We are going to town. We're going to go get supplies. When I was a kid, my dad used to tell me and my brother, come on, jump in the truck, boys. We can go to town, go get supplies. Need some supplies. Do a supply run. Go down to the hardware store. Roofing material. Some boards. Some screws. Whatever you need, man. Okay, guys, we're gonna go ahead and just shut up. Okay, friends, that difficult. Let's take a quick look. You can see underneath there we have a nice meniscus, as I like to call it. I learned it from somewhere. I don't want to drop this on my hand. That will ruin my day. Got a good look. Got a good look. So yeah, we'll clean this up and get ready to... Oh, the next step I think is I'm going to run solder on the whole outside of this. And then I'm going to put some solder, flatten these if necessary, and put some solder under there. And I think I will. I think that's what I learned, is to flatten these to get a good seal, because once you start bending this to make the bracelet, if these aren't connected nice, you're gonna be in a bad way. Now I'm kind of mocking it up, and I'm looking for underneath the spoon handles, how far back do I need to sand so that it's flat, because I don't want to go haywire on it. Okay, so I just got those, and let's put this line right here. So roughly right there, I want flat. Right here. So right here, guys, I'm just going to spend some time doing this a lot. All right, guys, I think we're getting close. I don't know. What do you guys think? Can somebody fax me? Do you think I should go all the way towards super duper flat so we get a good solder seal, or is that enough to be able to hold it on to the back plate? If anybody would like to fax me, I just got new facsimile paper, you know, because people still use facsimiles. Oh, man. Whoa, look what Millie just brought me. Oh, my goodness. She must want me to live forever. Look at this delicious... What is this? Is this jazz cabbage?
It's mint.
Mint. Can I eat it?
You can eat it.
Minty. All right, guys, I'm going to have a little breakfast, and I'll get right back to you guys. But, oh, gosh, look at this, guys. Fresh fruit in the morning, nothing better. All right, friends, we are at the dance, and we don't care if we have Walmart dress shoes on. We're going to boogie woogie. We are here. I put the medium solder chips around the base. This will be cut off. It'll be tidied up. I'll have access to that. And then we have medium solder right here on the spoon handles that are bent just right. So we're just gonna go right here, friends, and maybe I'll put on a groovy little beat for you guys to bump and you guys watch this happen. All right, we got those tinned very thickly, which I like. And let's go here. I feel pretty good about that. We're gonna go ahead and let that cool off, and we are set up. These are still very hot, but I'm going to mock them up just to take a little look. And I hope you guys can see that as well. I got a brand new honeycomb soldering block, and I'm pretty excited about it. You know how it is when you get a new soldering block. You feel like that everything will go down. I'll probably wait for it to cool off a little bit, and I'll just kind of dial it in. But this is our next step right here, guys. And everything around here will be filed, cut off and filed. Okay, amigos, we are not playing, we're slaying. Right here, we're going in. Little drops of flux in and around. Just going. I put this little lift here so that it really had good contact, but I think we're gonna have to hope on a little bit of luck, friends. A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. I think we got this. Number 3, torch acetylene. Once I see that solder start to respond, I know that we're in the ballpark as far as heat. This whole thing is a mass, so we're gonna kind of sprinkle some heat on the whole thing, but really try to focus, concentrate our majority of our heat in this where we want for it to run first. And I think it's gonna be right here. You can see I'm heating the block quite a bit right out here because I want for that heat to kind of find its way. The lip of the back plate, friends. We're in the trenches. Okay, solder's starting to respond on that back plate. Heat away. Off. Rotate. Now we're gonna go over here just a little bit. And I'm gonna let that be. Because if I get this hot, I don't think I'm going to get it to bend. So I'm going to focus on this side. I'm going to take what it gives me, friends. That's kind of what I've learned. If it wants to touch right there and it wants to have good contact right there, I'm going to take it. And I can come back to it. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Sometimes you have to do this in stages. I mean, you'd really love to get it all in one. And I would. It's really giving me this right here, so I'm going to take it, really focusing on this outside right here, getting that, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. I do not see solder responding yet. I'm focusing on the block, and give it a little bit more general over the top, focusing on the block, but right on the rim of the lip. See a little shininess right there, but I'm not sure if it's playing with my emotions or not. You know, sometimes it plays with your emotions, friends. Okay, I think I got something right there. I see some action. It wants, and it is. We're gonna just rotate, and we're just gonna press and let it get where it wants to be. Okay, let's get this right here if I can. Pressing down. Is it? Heat off, holding down, let that solder just solidify. I'm gonna go bring it back over here, and I noticed that right here it didn't want to quite go down, so I'm gonna concentrate heat. This is soldered right here, friends. I'm gonna concentrate heat right into this pocket right in here. I'm gonna get this nose part down of this. This is kind of working in stages. We let this fully cool, or quite a bit cool, so that we can go here without this releasing. Okay, it's down. Heat off. Now that is down. I feel good about it. Now we're gonna go over it again. Back over here. Now that that's down, we're letting that cool to just below the soldering melting temperature. Then we're gonna bring it back over here, and then we're gonna give a nice push. This is what I'm talking about in stages, friends. I'm looking at the inside the seam. You guys can't really see it, but I'm looking to see any kind of action where that solder might want to give me some love. And I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet. I have a feeling it should be. Or maybe it's just not giving me the indications I'm looking for. Sometimes you have to trust. You have to trust, guys. Okay, let's take a look here without trying to hurt ourselves. You're looking at the lip, if possible. How that looks. That looks pretty decent on that side. Decent. We don't know for sure until we put in the acid and clean it. And then, but we're going to trim it. We're going to really look at that seam, and hopefully in this video we utilize some flooding technique. And this is a new technique that I just learned over the past month, and it's very, very valuable in getting that finished look on your piece. So flooding technique may be coming up next. Let's get this cleaned up and keep it groovy like a drive-in movie, leaning toward moving forward. Okay, Karate Kids, we are here. This is where we're at. Guys, if you look at this closely, I don't know if you can see that, but you can see where I filed. Remember I made those lines? I could have went a little bit more because it kind of made a little gap right there, and it did the same thing on this side. But if you look over here, I have nice solder, nice seal. Real quick though, friends, before I get to that part of it, I just got this tool on Amazon, and it tells you what gauge you put the silver in there, and it'll tell you what gauge it is. And this is a tool that I've been wanting since I've been rolling my own silver. I've been guessing what I think the gauge is, and I think this gauge right here is 22 gauge, if I recall from earlier in the video. So let's just see if I was right. It is not 24 gauge. If you guys can see, that won't fit in the 24 gauge, and it fits in the 22 gauge. If there was a 23 gauge, it might fit right in the 23 gauge, because there's a little play on that 22 gauge. All right, friends, right here we are looking at that edge, and I don't know if you can see that good. I hope you can. We have a pretty nice seal all the way, except for right there. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some flooding in this area, possibly a little flooding in as close as I can get these nice and flush. All right, Juanitosville, we are in the flooding zone, the flood zone, friends. We're gonna do a little bit of flooding here, and this is a technique that was described in words to me by somebody in a member of Inspiring Metalsmiths Jewelry Group that I mentioned earlier. I'm putting some flux on this. I sanded it, I filed it, but I did not sand it. And we're gonna go with some easy solder because we do not want to get close to the temperature that is going to be of the temperature that may cause these to fall off. Now, they're on there pretty good, and the mass is quite substantial, so I don't think we have to worry about that. And I use this soldering block, guys, whenever I'm making little balls of solder, because of the fact that this spinning soldering block is very dense, and it does sink a lot of heat away. So, you know, you kind of have to figure out what's going to work for you. And I'm really going to be focusing on the whole rim right here and dealing with looking through the light. And I don't know if maybe if this light was off, if that would help at all. Can you see that a little better? I guess we'll find out in the video. So I turned that light off because I think if you guys can see, I'm going to put a chunk of solder right there on that seam. Okay, I put it on the block to make balls. Balls is what I like. I don't know why. Sometimes I forget what I know. Okay, we're going right here. We're just going to get that solder, which is easy solder, has a lower melting point. I'll put on the screen the different melting points of solder so you can know what the melting points are. Not like you're going to know by looking at your fire. You just know by feel. But just so you know what a difference in melting points of medium, hard are compared to easy. So I'm really looking in that seam right there. We're going to try to plug that seam up, or at least cover it. Turn this heat up just a little bit more. We don't want to be here all day. Okay. A lot of that solder went into that hole, which is fine. That was kind of a substantial gap, guys. It was substantial, and we're just gonna keep adding some solder to that. There we go. And then we just rub it along the rim, guys. See over there. So let's turn this light back on and let's just take a quick look. You get the point. I hope. I don't think you have to see me do the other side. Come on, Johnny. You can see where that it's dirty because of the solder, because of the heat and skip focus. See how that hole is, and I should have flipped it like that, and I will. And I'm gonna work on this side with you guys because I'm gonna do this whole side with you so that you know what to expect, and you never know what's gonna happen. We may get into it and then something weird happens, and then we can talk about it and maybe we can learn from it. So bear with me. I know this is a long video. I try to, you guys, these videos are an hour and a half to sometimes 2 hours in material. I try to whittle them down to about a half an hour if I can. Usually 35 minutes. Sometimes we got 20, 25 minutes. But I try to edit as much as I can, because I know you guys got to get out into the world and make your dreams come true. And the last thing you guys need to do is hear me telling stories about when I was a kid. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to tell some stories when I was a kid, but as long as I'm doing something productive that visually you guys can appreciate while I'm telling that story, I'm okay with it. But I'm not just going to put my tool down and start going into a rant. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that to you. Hope you guys can appreciate that at least. I've had some feedback. People say I talk too much. Not people. I've had... You know how it is as artists. One person gives you some negative feedback and you think it's like that's what everybody thinks. But I did get some positive feedback from my people, you guys. Okay, there we go, friends. That looks really good. I'm gonna put just a little on here, extra here, just for safe measure. But that easy solder does respond quite a bit different than medium. And in my whole jewelry career, guys, I've done almost all medium solder. Almost all medium solder. I've used some hard, medium and hard. I've never used easy until I learned this fletting technique. I've had some easy, but I've never used it. But just take another quick look there. I think you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, and you'll see when this is finished and cleaned up, it's going to be magnificent. So I'm going to go ahead and do this other side. There we go. There we go, friends. It is responding. Okay, Juanitosville, I made some errors with my easy solder, and it was probably because I wasn't sipping out of my Juanitosville coffee mug. Because, you know, when you drink out of your Juanitosville coffee mug, you don't make mistakes. And I made a mistake here, and let me just show you guys what the mistake I made. Right here, the easy solder went, see there's some texture, a little line of texture on this spoon handle that goes right there, and the solder went right into that. And on this side, a little bit less, but still, solder went right into that texture. Now, this is a technique that you don't want to be good at because you don't want to make these errors, but let me tell you that I learned this from my instructor, Melanie Klein, and this is a technique to remove solder from details, whether it's stamping or details such as this. Now, she taught me to do this with copper wire, 20 gauge copper wire, which you can do, but I've discovered that this also works, and works a little bit better for me because I'm not a pro like she is. And this is Rio Grande flat BC braid right there, number 132526, and it looks like this, guys. So what you do is you just take the edge of the braid, of this copper braid, and kind of flare it out a little bit so that it will accept. Just loosen it just a little bit so that it will accept solder. And what we're going to do is heat up this easy solder, and with my tweezers I'm going to brush this. Once the easy solder starts to run, I'm going to brush it with the copper, and it's going to pull that solder. Idealistically, it will pull the solder from out of that groove, and the solder will be on the back here. And then I'll probably start on this side just to kind of get warmed up. So I'm glad you guys are watching this. I wish I didn't make this error, and but we're gonna get into this and try to fix. Like I said, I've only done this a couple times. This is not something that you want to get really good at if you can help it. And I'm gonna focus on this solder right here. We're gonna see if I can do this, guys. And this is a way. Try this before you throw it away. It's getting a little bit shiny. Okay. Okay. Turn the heat off. Let's just take a look. It was semi-successful. Now I can see the groove back in there where that was. And if you're good, I'll still sand that and get that looking, but that looks a lot better, guys. And so I hope that was valuable to you. Okay, friends, so this is the result. Now you can still see the full line texture right there. It's a little dirty in there. I may get some small sandpaper and try to get that groove, not dirty, but a little clumpy. But we got the texture back on that side, and we got the texture back on this side. Like I said, there's, if you can see where my thumb is, there's some grind, like goopy solder mess still in there. So I think what I might do is just go over this one more time. I'm probably gonna go over this one more time and just see if I can get a little bit of that extra out. All right, guys, I filed, and I'm using this 320 grit just to kind of smooth out the sides and really trying to get the marks out and see how possibly good I can do. Look at that. All the way. It's not perfect yet. I don't think it will ever be perfect. I don't like that word, but look, guys, we have a nice seal. Alrighty, friends, we are cruising slow through your neighborhood, and not to look cool, but mostly because we have bad brakes, and we don't want to rear end anyone at the stoplight, friends. But we're here. Look at this, guys. We have, and we're gonna still do a little bit of finish work on this top part, but we worked on the back part. Millie was so generous to lend us her skills to get this nice and ready. And guys, when I bend this, the way I do it, I don't have a bracelet bender, so the way I do it is I use my bracelet mandrel, and my bracelet mandrel is made out of oak, and it can somewhat mar up superficially this this silver. So I'm going to try to use one of these little rags that you use to clean your glasses, and we're going to look at the back of it. Look at it. You guys see it now, and after we're done working on it, we're going to see what effect, if any, the bending process, the way that I do it. This is the way that I was taught by my instructor, Melanie Klein. I kind of go a slow process, and I typically, what I do is I work the ends first, and I hope you guys can see this in the frame right here. Okay, guys, so I just start at the very end, and I start at the skinniest part of my bracelet mandrel. Just get that initial right around the sharp part of the wrist, get that kind of going, and I just feed it through. But yeah, guys, this is pretty much it. We can, I wish there can, maybe you'll see in the finished product what this ends up looking like. I did get this texture to resurface. It still needs some top work. I didn't do any top work. We did just only the bottom work, but the top work will be next, and we'll really look at it and see what we have. But this is pretty much it. This part of the jewelry adventure, right before the polishing. So guys, the next time you see this will be in its jewelry video debut, and you'll see it in its full glory. It has some work to do, but I hope this video had some value to you guys. the tinning process or the flooding process. The flooding process was pretty cool. Just kind of the process of making these, the bending, the annealing, kind of fabricating and thinking about how logistically things are going to kind of look. And yeah, guys, so thank you so much for hanging out, man. This has been a doozy. I'll tell you, I made some mistakes, but I think I learned, and I hope you guys learned also from the mistakes that I made today and yesterday. So yeah, guys, man, hit me up on Instagram, Boom Jewelry Designs. I'll put it right here. The link is in the description. Add me on Instagram. I want to see what you guys are working on, or if you guys are into it. So yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys come back and hang out again. I hope you guys are staying brave, loving your family members, and taking good care of your health, drinking plenty of water, getting lots of rest, and making some really awesome jewelry with good energy. Thanks for hanging out, guys. You know what it is. It's Benny. I'm out. Peace. Mm-hmm.